much handle any communications that are done online. So that's social media, emails, websites, online actions, anything like that I handle. Digital advocacy is really just a subset of overall advocacy and organization and organizing. It is those aspects of advocacy and organizing that are done online, that are done on social media, through websites, through email.
Digital advocacy alone won't, is not sufficient, right? So it's good to send that initial message. It's good to make sure that initial contact, but once that's done, you also want to make sure you're following up with folks. You want to make sure that you're sending more than one message. You want to make sure you're touching them in more than one way, right? So if somebody gets a Facebook ad, hopefully you'll be able to also send them an email, and hopefully they'll also see something on Twitter, and then hopefully they'll get a call, they'll get a text message, something where they signed up in order to be contacted personally.
And these people are doing the on-the-ground work of talking to volunteers, showing up to events, running meetings, organizing canvases and phone banks, and all of that kind of incredibly important work that changes people's minds on issues and gets people elected during elections. My job is to support them. So that's anything like amplifying their messages online, lifting up our superstar volunteers and the work that they do, to simple things like setting up event pages on Facebook and sending out invite emails and things like that. So
the most effective way in order to go about it is to use a digital ad in order to engage people, and then try and move them up the ladder of engagement. So that, you're calling, you're talking to them on the phone. Hopefully you're meeting them in person and asking them, how they're going to volunteer, would they like to volunteer, what kind of messaging works, what kind of messaging doesn't work, what messaging turns off what group, one group, and what messaging may activate another group.
You've seen a lot of a shift of campaigns to doing more and more digital ads, and digital ad spending in 2018 was higher than it's ever been before. But outside of that, I think more and more of the public discourse is going online to sites like Facebook, and of course Twitter is a big one. People, the media is always talking about what people are saying on Twitter and what's happening on Twitter, but I think that's really significant, and it shows just how much of a role these platforms play during the election.
Twitter has definitely been a big influence in this election. One of the examples I could give, Andrew Gillum was not even expected to win the primary, but he really reached out to a lot of young people. That's how a lot of us learned about him, through Twitter. And his Twitter presence led to him winning the primary and being here in the general election. So it's definitely an impact.
Hey, we get them in the room through our digital advocacy, and then we ask them. We just straight up ask them, like, what's important to you? What would you like to see change in your community? What do you think would be the most effective thing that can happen? Who do you think who do we need to talk to in order to make sure that change happens? And then once we do that, after a while, we're able to gather enough data and kind of get a good sense of what's important to folks in general across the state, right?
We also organized the Women's March in Tallahassee after Trump was elected. And it was, as far as I know, the biggest rally in at least recent history in Tallahassee. We had an estimated 14,000 people show up and march from Railroad Square to the gym on FAMU campus. And that was largely organized online.
Through the tools that we have available to us now, through platforms like Facebook, Twitter, even GroupMe, just anything that you're using on your phone, we're probably thinking of using that platform in a way and trying to reach folks. Because one thing about organizing that's true, and one thing that is really helped by digital organizing, is that you want to meet people where they're at. And a lot of people do live in a digital space.